All right, well, howdy. So this is a course introduction for BESC 201, section 700 for the summer session. I'm glad that you could make it. I find that students who can attend or watch this video have a better understanding of the course and kind of get their feet under them quicker. And considering this is 5 weeks, the faster you can get your feet under you, the faster that this will go, because we run at a very, very fast pace in the summer session. So I'm going to go over some of the syllabus and some course things and general like pinch points that I've noticed with students. I've taught this course since 2015 and I've taught it in the summer multiple times. And there's a couple places where students tend to struggle. And I want to point those out to you so that hopefully you can avoid those. So we'll start with opening here. So we see in the introduction slide. Excellent. Okay. All right, so really what we're going to do is we're going to have a discussion of the course, just the overall, and then talk about some of the main points in the syllabus that, like, I know you can find them, but they're fine points that I think would be helpful to point out in the beginning. I also like to introduce myself. I don't want to speak too much about myself, but just give you some point of reference so that might be helpful this course and in the future. So my name is Dr. Stoddard. I have two titles and two roles at Texas A&M. First is the role that brings me here is I'm an instructional associate professor in the Department of Plant Pathology and Microbiology. And I'm also the associate director for scholarship of teaching and learning at the Center for Teaching Excellence. So I have two jobs and two roles, and I do a lot here at Texas A&M. My office is in Plant Pathology 322, but I highly recommend that if you want to come see me, that you email me, because I have two jobs, I have two offices, and it's anyone's guess where I am during the day. And for that reason, I make my office hours by appointment. So please let me know if you want to meet with me and we'll find a time to do it. Generally, it's over Zoom because most everyone needs that flexibility. So a little bit of background on me and why I'm qualified to teach this course. So I got my undergraduate and my master's here at Texas A&M, and I'm actually a graduate of the program that I teach in now. I took this course not as an online course, but I took it as a freshman, which is really kind of a nice full circle thing. So I got my master's and my undergraduate here. My master's was in water management and hydrologic science. And then I got about a couple of years of work experience in the environmental consulting field. And then from there, I went and earned my PhD at the University of North Texas up in Denton in environmental science. And after that, my first professional appointment as a professor was at Texas A&M University in Texarkana. And then after about 2 years, I was recruited to come back here, and I've been here since 2015. And I've held a lot of different titles, and my passion is teaching, and so that's why I teach this class over and over again. On that note, I want to point this out that during the pandemic, I signed up. It wasn't the pandemic when I signed up, but I signed up for this course. It's a year-long course on effective college instruction. And it was an online asynchronous course that I took. We didn't know the pandemic was going to happen, but I was in it and I just decided to complete it. So this course is the only certification that exists for effective college instruction, and I earned it back in 2021. And the reason I tell you this is so that you know that there's nothing in this course that is there by willy-nilly. Everything is very much designed for best practices and evidence-based practices in teaching and learning. And so I spend a lot of effort to make sure that this course is aligned with those things. So I just want you to know that as you move through this, because sometimes students are like, well, why am I bothering doing this? I've mapped it all out, like it's all there. And I've spent a lot of time making improvements to the course, and I can continually to do so. I need to tell you, because we're required to tell students when they sign up for a core curriculum course, that you are in a core curriculum course. You probably know that. That's probably why you're here. I'm not going to read all these objectives to you, but you should know that the objectives that we need to meet here in this course are critical thinking, communication, empirical and quantitative skills, and teamwork. And the one that students often, especially in the online course in the summer, are a little nervous about is the teamwork. It's required to be there because it is a core curriculum course, and I try to make it the least painless as possible, but it is an important skill that you work through. And you'll notice that all of these learning objectives map to the course learning objectives. I have them here as well. You can look at them in the syllabus. I don't want to read them to you, but what I do want to point out is you'll see that it says Bloom's level, and then it gives you a verb. So Bloom is a taxonomy of learning, and it's based off of a pyramid. At the bottom, we have things like remembering. That's the base of your knowledge. And at the top is create. And as you move up this pyramid from remembering to understanding and applying, you're getting into higher level order thinking skills. And so I've mapped it all, the course out, and the things that I am wanting and preparing you and facilitating for you to do. And it's all meant to build your knowledge and get you to a point where you're more than just memorizing facts, because that's not really useful for anyone. The point is to build skills, to be able to think critically, to be able to communicate about things effectively. That's what we're working towards. So if you wanted to see all this, you can see all those numbers. It all just means that I've mapped everything out. All right, so there's only 3 of us, so we're going to do this. But I'm going to pause my recording because people don't want to hear about this. There we go. All right, so I like to break things up because I don't want to talk about the whole time. So you're going to get up, you're going to stretch. And in this room, we'll do it real quick. We'll exchange your name and a hobby you enjoy. And so I'll go down the list and I'll just call on you. And that's all we have to do, just so that we can get to know each other better. So my name is Dr. Stoddard, and I enjoy running, but not during August. So Stephen.
Sure. My name's, it's actually Stefan Martinez.
Stephen, I'm so sorry.
No, not a problem. And then I'm really into disc golf. That's been my new big hobby.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Callan Moreland, and I like to swim and tan in the summer.
Swim laps or just swim for fun?
Just swim for fun. Just swim for fun. I've never swam like in like school or anything, but fun little hobby.
All right, Elliot, are you available to share your name and your hobby? Might not. And we have one call-in person that might not be. I know it's difficult to share when you're calling in, so we'll stop there. So the point of this is to engage you a little bit more so you're not just listening to me the whole time. That gets really old and boring. All right. We need to resume. All right. Okay, so the textbook. You should know about the textbook. So we're using Environment, the Science Behind the Stories with Gott and Lopsa-Otta. The current edition is 7th. That is the one on the far right. The 6th is the one in the middle, and the 5th is the one on the far left. Technically, any of these would work. The only thing that really changes between them is some of the statistics that are in chapter 8, which is about human population, because those numbers get updated probably about every 2 to 5 years. But you could be fine with generally any one of them. As far as I know, the cheapest way to get this and the most affordable option is to rent it from Pearson. And it's, I think it's like $40 to rent the ebook. But you can only rent for, I think you can't, I don't think you can rent for 5 weeks. I've tried and looked. If this is a problem, if getting the textbook is a problem for you, please reach out and let me know, because I might be able to help in that regard and provide some financial assistance, because I have connections with the publisher. But you will need the textbook. You will. There's really no way around it. All right. And you can get it in a print version or a text version. I also provide the first 5 chapters are posted in Canvas if you're having some kind of delay. So we have the first 5 chapters, and we go through chapters 1 through 3 in week 1, and then up to chapter 7 in week 2. So you can at least get through the first week without having it. All right, so how we break this down. This is how you're going to earn points in the course. We have one of the big places is you're reading and many lecture quizzes. So this is, you're going to read the book and watch so many lectures that have been recorded. And there's captions and all of those things, and take reading quizzes on those. Engagement assignments, that's just a fairly broad statement. There's really 4 of those. One happens this week, and then there's one every week after that. And they're about, they vary in their points. The next is the ecological footprint assignment. And there's There's 3 points in that you'll be turning something in. You have world view reflections, and there's a couple of things you will turn in for that, and then the team project. So just a thought, is there anything that you don't see here that you might have been expecting?
There's no final.
There is no final, there is no exam. So I got rid of exams right around the pandemic and right around when we all went online, because I've done a lot of research about like how people learn and how people like how to best teach. And what I got tired of was, one, trying to regulate if people were cheating in my exams in an online exam, which, by the way, that's very difficult, and it's difficult to do. And there's platforms, and then there's check-ins, and then there's fees, and I just didn't want to deal with that. But also, like, if you cram for an exam, I can't guarantee, and you can't say that that's truly learning. Like, are you going to remember that a week from now? Are you going to remember that 5 weeks from now? But these things are designed to help you learn things more deeply by doing and engaging on a deeper level rather than a superficial cramming for an exam. So yes, we have no exams, we have no final. So for the reading quizzes, you have 15 of these. They're 15 points apiece. You have unlimited attempts when they are open. The point of that is that I want you to learn by doing, and I don't want to restrict you in that regard. So if it takes you 5 times to get the right answers and to get 15 points, then by all means. Then the questions change every time you do it to some extent. There's pools that get pulled into those, but that gives you an opportunity to see more questions, but also an opportunity to practice more, because practice is really where learning happens. So I facilitate that here. They're open on Monday at 8 a.m. They close the following Monday at 2 p.m. That's when they're due, Mondays at 2 p.m. They close for submission, like it will lock down and not allow any more submissions on Tuesday at 2 p.m. So 24 hours after the due date. So there's a grace period there, which is your late, the time that you could submit it late. Then the answers become available on Thursday and the answers close on Monday. The prerequisite for all of this, and really anything to move forward in the course, is you must get a 100% on the syllabus quiz, and you must get a 90% on the academic dishonesty quiz. If you do not do those things, you will not be able to move forward in the course. If you do not do those things, then you will lose points as things go along, and things go along very quickly. So that would be your top priority, is to get the syllabus quiz and the academic honesty quiz done. All right, our engagement assignments. So in week 1, we have a perusal introduction, and we're going to use perusal twice this semester. So one is in the introduction, you kind of get an idea of how to do this. Perusal is a program, you don't have to pay for it, it's already integrated into Canvas, that allows you to read and write comments on either the things that you're reading or the videos that you're watching. And the comments can be seen by your peers, and so it gives you an opportunity to really discuss content with your peers in a way that I can't facilitate any other way. So it's a really kind of cool platform. And you get points by doing a variety of different things. There's all sorts of ways that you earn points. And so it's a great way to engage students. So we'll use the perusal in week 2 to facilitate a case study. In week 3, we're going to do a TED Talk deep dive with Perceptive. And then in week 4, you're going to create an infographic, and you're also going to use Perceptive, which we'll talk about a little bit later. The ecological footprint, you will see that first in week 1. This is designed to help you work on your empirical and quantitative skills and really kind of make all of this personal to you. So you're going to calculate your ecological footprint this week, and then you're going to decide on something to track for the next 4 weeks. You need to track some metric that pulls into or creates your ecological footprint, and you need to track that and collect data for the next 4 weeks. And then at the end of the course in week 5, you will recalculate your footprint, and you will compare your results from week 1 to week 4, or week 5. And then you're going to graph all that data that you've been collecting, and you're going to interpret and analyze your graph and write up that. So that's, it's relatively minor, but it gives you an opportunity to really think about what you're studying and make it part of your life. You can make it a challenge to improve your data over time, but that's not required at all. I will say the thing that you pick needs to be something that you're collecting a few data points on. So And you need to be, those data points need to be comparable from point to point. So for example, the minutes you spend in the shower, like each day or every other day, like how much time you spend in the shower, that's a good one because it's always the same. It's like minutes or minutes. Other things people do is the number of meatless meals or the number of meals with plant-based things. People will do the numbers of miles that they drive. That one is okay too. And they do it by the day, or they total it up at the week. One thing that is not, two things I can tell you that are difficult to do are, someone once suggested that they wanted to do the number of trash bags that they did per week. And that doesn't work because the number of trash bag isn't actually a comparable point from point to point. Because one trash bag could be half empty, one could be half full. And so I don't recommend that kind of thing. Food waste is you can do that one, but it's going to be a lot of work because you're going to have to estimate every week how much it is. And I recommend that you estimate by half cup. And then that's just a lot to look every week at like your waste and see what's there. So choose something that is manageable as well, because you don't want this to become a new chore. You just make something that you're already doing that you just keep track of. I recommend keeping track especially for this 5-week course, some kind of online Excel spreadsheet or something like that, so you don't have to transcribe your data later because you are going to turn it into a graph. So. All right, so here's our next question. So I will pause here real quick because we're going to do an engagement thing and I don't want that to go on to the recording. So the next thing is, what are you most excited about this semester, or we just say this summer? So Callan, do you want to go first?
Hi, I'm most excited about going and visiting my grandparents in Florida. I haven't seen them in a few months, and so I'm gonna go see them next week, only for like 2 days, but I'm really excited to see them. I miss them. So
great. Stefan?
Sure. I'm honestly excited to be back in classes. I've been out of school for 6 years, 7 years. So it'll be nice to kind of get things wrapped up here pretty soon.
Excellent. Elliot, if you're available, you're more than welcome to share what you're most excited about, but understand that you might not be. Okay. All right, what am I excited about this summer? I'm actually going to be going on vacation later this summer, and I'm going to be going to Maine, and I'm super excited to leave the heat and the humidity for a period of time. So I'm excited about that. And did I say it right? Is it Callan?
Callan. Yes, Callan, yes.
Callan. Okay. All right. I got it right the first time.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. We're going to move on. All right. So the next thing I'll share with you is that one of the other forms of evaluation is going to be a worldview essay. And there's a lot of instruction and a lot of details in Canvas. But essentially what's going to happen is that I'm going to give you a template, and I'm going to give in that template, there will be prompts about an environmental issue that anyone could feel any way about. I'll give you multiple prompts to choose from, and I'll say, hey, this is a real world scenario of something happening in the environment, something happening in the news. And I want to ask you, what do you think about it? What is your worldview? Your worldview is how you see the world around you, and it's different for everybody. Everybody has a slightly different worldview, and your worldview is influenced by the way that you were raised, by the culture that you grew up in, by the things that you have read, the things that you have taken in over the course of your life experiences all influence your worldview. The reason that we're doing this is your worldview influences your actions and how you choose to show up in the world and what you choose to do. There's in this course, we're not talking about like if there's a right or wrong worldview, but I want you to be aware of what your worldview is, because this helps you think about your thinking, which is called metacognition. And it's an awareness of your thoughts, and that's a form of critical thinking, which we're really trying to get at. So if you can think about your thinking, what do I think? What do I think about this? Why do I think this? Like that is a really deep level of critical thinking. It also requires you're going to be required to like explain what your worldview is and incorporate 3 course terms and define them as you explain your worldview and answer questions that I've asked you about it. And I want to point out that there is no right or wrong worldview. You're not being scored about whether you say you recycle or you don't recycle, whether you believe this or that. That's not the point. The point is, can you explain what you believe while using course terms in an appropriate way? And do you understand what those course terms mean in context? That's the point. The second part of it, and this is where students often have struggles. The second part is I'm going to ask you why or how you formed your worldview. Like, how did you get to where you're at? Like, what influenced your worldview? What influenced you to this point that you now believe X? And again, there is no right or wrong there. It is just whether or not you can reflect deeply. The error that students most often make is they repeat their worldview in their reflection. And that's not what I'm looking for. Don't tell me what you believe in the reflection. Tell me why you believe it or how you got there. And you need to provide details. So for example, one question that I put on there is, this is an abbreviated version of it, but actually, you know what? I've got it. I was working on it just a moment ago. So I'll just pull it right up and we'll look at it. I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to open the template because I was working on it right before we started. I'm working on this template. It's not quite done at the moment, but you'll get the idea. You'll at least see a version of it. So, so you're given a template. So 1, use the template. You don't use the template, things are going to go south real quick. Use the template, and I tell you what you should delete. Always delete the things in brackets. So you would delete that, and then you would pick from the prompts I've given you. So here, this one is about carrying capacity. The next one is about conserving biodiversity. And the last one is about invasive species. So here, for example, I tell you to explain your worldview, and I give you questions. So I give you kind of a prompt of like, hey, this is the background to this question. And then I tell you, this is the part that you need to think about. Like, do you think that humans can continue to raise our carrying capacity? If so, how? And if not, why not? Do you think Earth's future carrying capacity for humans might decrease? Again, no right or wrong answer, but you're going to have to be able to explain your worldview using course terms and defining them. So the next thing you'll see is I tell you exactly what I'm looking for. I want you to delete this and tell me what it is that you believe. What is it? And you highlight the course terms, and those terms are in the glossary and bolded in the chapters. Highlight them and define them. Define, like write what the definitions are. And explain your worldview using at least 6 standard length sentences or at least 6 lines of text. And then the second part is the reflection. The reflection is where you tell me how you formed your worldview. You need to provide specific details that explain it. I will tell you that this is how I was raised, this is what my religion teaches me, or this is what a class taught me, is not sufficient. Those are all great starts, but you're going to have to give details. So for example, I could say, like, when talking about biodiversity, I could say, like, I believe that all living organisms have a right to live, and go on for 6 sentences and include the course concepts and define them. And then in the reflection, I could say something about when I was growing up, my parents and I gardened together. And every time we got into the soil, my parents would make a point to talk about the roots and the organisms and the birds that came to eat our berries and how it all helped the entire ecosystem. And then I could talk about that experience in rich detail and explain how that was a formative experience for that. So you need to provide details that show me that you're thinking about your thinking. Do not just quote something from a book, whatever book that may be. It doesn't matter what the book is, whether it's a religious context or not. Don't just quote something and drop that in and say, this is why I believe what I believe. You have to explain it and show me, hey, this really means something to me, and it was formative to my experience, and I had this experience with this text and yada, yada, yada. You have to provide details. So that's usually one of the sticking points for people. So going back to our presentation. Going again. Share. Right. So there will be materials in Canvas that will explain this and will take you along the way. There is a team project. There's no way around this. It's a team project. We have to have a team project in this course. But I will tell you that I have worked really hard to prevent anyone from being able to freeload in a team project. And what I'll point out about this is there's 250 points associated with the team project, which means a variety of things. You'll notice that there are things that you do as an individual to earn points to the team's project. The reason this exists is I care about the process and not necessarily the product is great, but the point is to go through the process of learning how to work together with a team. And sometimes that means learning how to work together with people that you might not agree with and might not work well with. That's still a skill that you got to get. So you'll notice that there's individual points and you get about 60% of your overall score for the team project from individual things that you do. So that's all on you. That's yours to either do or not do. And then you get points on the group project for the final thing that you submit, which is a website. But note that that percent is determined by your teammate evaluations. And so your overall project participation, so those are 20 points, and that's calculated by evaluations that your teammates give you that only I have access to. And so let's say, for example, that the 4 people in this room or this Zoom room are all together in a group, and someone gets 50% of the participation points because they just didn't show up. They showed up at the very end and they said, hey, what can I do? And they didn't do their work, or they did like the bare minimum, and they got 50% of the overall participation points, which in this case would be 10. If that happens, then they would get, and let's say the team earned 100 on the website, then they would get 50. Because the point is you should not be able to ride the coattails of your teammates to get points that you didn't earn. So you're going to have to show up for your team and do the work, or otherwise you don't get the points. And I do look at comments and I do try to evaluate that so that if there's like one sour teammate, like sometimes like I look at this with a fine tooth comb. The other thing that I want to point out here is I have instituted what's called the low stress GPA policy. Let's say that you're working full time, you're taking another class, you've got a lot on your plate, and you just need to finish this course. You just need to pass and get through. That's fine. And sometimes that's all you need. I have a great colleague that now is a professor at University of Alabama, Birmingham, and his policy as an undergraduate was Dia's diploma, because that's all he could do. He was working full time, was taking like 30 hours, 35 hours. I don't know how he did it. He slept like 3 hours a day. But that was his approach, and he passed and he got through. So if you're in a tight spot and you know that you're not going to show up for your team and you know that you can't do this, let's just admit it to ourselves now. There's no shame in it, and sign up for the low stress GPA policy. What that means is you will just opt out of the team project and you will not earn those 250 points. That's all that means. There's no stress. There's no shame in this. It's just, let's just call a spade and know what's going to happen. Because the worst thing, like the thing that really stinks is when someone is stressed to the max and they don't have the time and they feel compelled to do this, but they know they can't do it. And then they never show up for their teammates and everyone's mad. We don't want that. So I provide this low stress GPA policy for you if you need it. But note that if you opt out, you're out. So you do not get those 750 points, and the maximum grade that you could get in the course is a mid-level C, a 75. If you opt in, you are in. So don't opt in and then don't participate, because that will not run well either. So don't game my system, because that will not go well. So if it ends up that you don't actually do anything for your teammates, then I can retroactively take you out of the team and retroactively take those points away, because you've essentially opted in, but really opted out. So please don't do that. Let's make sure this policy works. And I hope that it helps. It might potentially help someone. All right, so as an overview, we're going to get our concept mastery and our chapter content from reading quizzes and the readings. We have weekly activities that will help us with our learning objectives, reading the chapters, watching mini lectures, doing our engagement essays. Look at the calendar. Generally, everything is due on a Monday at 2 p.m. But occasionally there will be activities where you have to do something on a Friday, so that because it requires some peer interaction, and then something again is due on a Monday. I will always send you reminders and updates, but you do need to check the calendar. How we're breaking this down by course of like the learning objectives, our critical thinking, our communication is be done through our worldview essays, the ecological footprint, and the engagement assignments. Empirical and quantitative skills will come through our ecological footprint data and some of the course engagement assignments that we do. The teamwork will obviously be the team project, and the content mastery comes from a variety of the things in the course, but largely the reading quizzes and the engagement assignments. Okay, so we're gonna pause once more and we're gonna check in on everyone. So how about we share an interesting fact? Go ahead, Stefan.
Sure. I don't know how interesting it is, but I'm married. I'm 29 years old.
Okay, no, that's interesting. Oftentimes you're non-traditional student. A lot of times students are married. I married in my undergraduate, and most of my colleagues were kind of surprised when they realized that they had a classmate that was married. But yeah, it does add a level of like, yeah, that's interesting. So, Helen.
I used to show Brahmin cattle, so
Oh, hi. Hi. My interesting fact. I can't wink. I just can't do it. Period. So, yeah, there we go. All right. Okay. Okay, so in this course, I'm really trying to support your learning. Everyone's voice has some value to contribute. Everyone's voice is appreciated here, and everyone has something to add to the course, which is why we're going to have some facilitated dialogues through perusal and perceptive. Please take care to respect different experiences, beliefs, and values expressed. We will talk, there will be an opportunity to hear from people in the course about what they think, like that worldview thing. Like the whole point of that assignment is to be exposed to different worldviews and seeing the fact that different people see the world differently. So do that with respect, please. I value all diversity and welcome people from all walks of life and all of the things. I don't want to necessarily read all that to you, but it's all the things. My efforts to create an inclusive and supportive class include accessibility. This course is, as of right now, about 90% accessible online, and I'm working to get that up to like 98. It's to provide comfort and belonging, to create an environment where people feel comfortable expressing themselves and that they feel valued, to bring diverse experiences. I'm trying to include scientists and people from diverse backgrounds, and being aware of my worldview and how it might influence things is also being aware of others. What you can do to help with providing a supportive and inclusive environment is to share your preferred name, and if you want them, share your pronouns. My preferred name is Dr. Stoddard, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. Support. So talk to me if you're experiencing something out of class that is affecting your performance. I'm here to help you succeed. That is my job. But you cannot wait until week 4 to do it. We only have 5 weeks together. Like if there's something that's happening, like you have to talk to me immediately. I cannot help you in week 4 or 5 if you miss a lot, because say you got mono or you got COVID or grandma died. Like I can't do anything in week 4 or 5. Like we can't do anything retroactively. I'll tell you that incompletes do not work in my class. So if you don't do the work, you don't get the grade. I just can't operate any other way. feedback. So let me know if something happens in class that made you feel uncomfortable, that something needs to change. If there's wording that's in somewhere that needs to change, please help me understand that. If you have suggestions for scientists, authors, experts that represent more diversity than you see in the course, then please share that with me. And if you have other ideas for making an inclusive and learning environment, please let me know. The Aggie Honor Code. An Aggie doesn't lie, cheat, or lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate those that do. I also know about elaborate, collaborate, and borrow. I'm well aware of all of that. For that, you're required to take the academic honesty quiz. I'm going to tell you now that it is a challenge. That quiz is not designed to be easy. So don't go into it thinking you're going to ace it the first time. Very few people do that. The average time is it takes about five to 7 attempts. You need to read what the rules are, especially the examples, and you need to read the sanctions closely. Also, when you get your quiz back, look at the feedback. It will tell you, it will give you some clues. This is really important because your Aggie ring and your diploma need to mean something. And if someone cheats their way to their Aggie ring and their Aggie diploma, yours mean less. And I think you all want that diploma and that ring to mean the world. And for that, we have to be really serious about this. I will tell you that I will report anyone that violates the Aggie Code of Honor. I will report you. And if that means that you don't graduate that semester, then you don't graduate that. I've done it many times. I don't like doing it, but I am obligated as a professor to report any academic dishonesty. And that is a good thing because you don't want someone continually making the same mistake and not being caught and not being held accountable. So if someone plagiarizes something in my course and I just let it slide, there's nothing to stop them from plagiarizing in the next course. And then by the time they get to graduation, they've plagiarized their way to graduation. And no one wants that because that's not honest and that's not how the Aggies do things. So this also includes AI. So please don't use AI to write your essays. I intentionally design my stuff so that it's not like AI doesn't really work well with what I'm asking you to do. You can use AI for like grammar and spelling and different things like that, but don't use it to create your words for you because that steals the opportunity for you to learn something. So just keep that in mind. Unless I give you specific information about this, you shouldn't be using AI to generate text for the things that you submit in my class. And you should always make sure that you understand what the policies are around AI and generative AI in the courses that you take. All right, so with the American Disability and Policy Statement, if you have a medically diagnosed disability, please let me know. But I will tell you that this course is designed to be universally accessible. And most people find that they don't actually need the accommodations that they've been given because there are no exams. There's unlimited time and unlimited attempts on the quizzes. Everything has captions. All of the PowerPoints are available to you. So, but if there's something that you genuinely need from a disability standpoint, then just let me know. All right, I want to make sure that we're timeful, so we're going to move on. So for communication, email me in Canvas. I'm going to tell you, I have like 2,000 emails right now, and some of them just get lost. So if you want a response, if you want me to see your email, email me in Canvas. The reason being, it shows up in 2 places for me, and there's one place where I can see all my communication with my students. My email box is flooded, and I will tell you that I just flat out miss stuff. I don't want to miss your emails, so please email me in Canvas. You should address your professors as doctor or professor, but howdy is generally fine. If we start a conversation, I will do my best to keep it up, but if I ask you something that I need to answer your question, then you need to respond back. That said, I've told you I have 2,000 emails in my inbox. If I do not respond in 24 hours, it is not that I'm ignoring you. But 24 hours Monday through Friday. It's not that I'm ignoring you. It's probably that I just didn't see your email because I have a million things that are coming to my inbox. So please just politely email me back and say, hey, Dr. Stoddard, I'm just pushing this to the top of your inbox. That's actually a really polite reminder for all of your communications because sometimes people are just overloaded and you just push that email back to the top and like, oh, I totally missed that. So do me that favor and everything should work out. So absences, there's no attendance, but sometimes you have an excused absence. And I highly encourage you to try to get all your work done before the due date. Don't wait until Monday to get things done. However, I do have I call it the contingent, no questions asked policy. So life happens, things happen, tires blow, cars like have to be in the shop, things happen, vet visits have to be done. So there's a contingent, no questions asked policy. So if you need an extension on something, you can fill out this policy. It's a Google Sheet, and you can use it up to 2 times for a 24-hour extension. You need to fill that form out within 24 hours of the due date. So if something's due on Monday at 2 p.m., then you would need to fill it out before Tuesday at 2 p.m. And you need to complete the work before Tuesday at 2 p.m. So this is designed to just be the extension that you need. You don't need to ask me to use it. It is there for anything. You don't need to tell me why you're using it if it's something other than a medical thing. If you do need like it is where I ask students to tell me if like they have like an excused absence. I do ask them to fill this out and just make a note, because that's just one spreadsheet that I have all of the extensions in one place, and it's just much easier to keep track of. I can't keep track of that in email. So the form is linked in Canvas. The exception is the team project. And you need to email me within 3 working days of an excused absence. Otherwise, you will not have the opportunities to make up the work. We're moving too fast, and you can't wait a week to tell me that you were sick and you missed a due date. I'm not going to follow up with you if you miss a due date. There's too many and there's too much. It is your responsibility to meet your deadlines. I will remind you of them, but if you miss one, I will just assume that that was your choice. So let me know within 3 days if you have an excused absence and you need to make some work up. All right, so what questions do we have?
I guess once we complete the syllabus quiz and the academic honesty quiz, the extra information and rubrics will kind of populate in Canvas.
Yes, I'll pull that up so you can see it. By extra information and rubrics, what specifically are you referring to?
Sure. So in the class I just took, when I went to go see if I can get back to it. So like right now, everything in the week 1 learning module is grayed out, says the prerequisite needs to be done.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
like if I were to click into an assignment, where it would have me submit it, it would give like a rubric or any other kind of assignment information in that same area.
Yeah, thanks for asking. So the welcome orientation module, that's here. So the thing that you must do is you have to get, oh, I need to fix that. You need to get a 18 out of 18 points on the syllabus quiz. And once you do that, that will mark this module as complete, and it will open up the week 1 learning module. And you'll be able to see everything in there. And then the one thing in the week 1 learning module that you need to do is get 10.8 points out of 13 on the academic honesty quiz. And that will open up the week 2. Week 2 isn't even available right now, but once it is available, like you would have to finish the academic honesty quiz before you could get to week 2. You won't even be able to see it until then. Thanks. Good question. In Canvas, on the home page, you'll find everything that you really need. This link will take you to the syllabus. Got the course discussion board. If you have a question that's general for everyone could potentially benefit from it, just put it there. That would be helpful. This gets you to the start here orientation module we just looked at, the team project overview, the learning modules. Here's another link for the get to the syllabus. Virtual hours are here, but you'll need to schedule that with me. Here's the course schedule, which I highly recommend that you download and print and review. I always go by it. I will remind you generally on Fridays that's what's coming up, but you need to be on the ball with that. Here's the link to the 24-hour contingent, no questions asked policy, and then there's resources there. In the modules, I've already kind of talked about the orientation module. This is where all the information, the kind of the background information about the team project is. And then the learning modules. So I will tell you, it's a 15-week course crammed into 5. So there's a lot. There's just no way to get around that. It is what it is. So this is a very long thing. I recommend that you block off times multiple times a week to work on this. Do not wait until Monday. Don't do it. It's not going to work out well for you, and it's going to lead to burnout real quick. So just block off a couple hours each day and just work your way through it. But you'll find all of the learning activities, they all have rubrics. You can find those. There's the reading quizzes, and everything's broken down by activity. So we've got the overview, this overview and to-do list that will tell you what's coming up that week and kind of gives you like a snapshot. So that might be helpful. At the bottom of the week, at the bottom of that overview and to-do list, I tell you what's coming and kind of the background for the week. So here you get your to-do list, which I will copy and send in an email later, or I send in the announcements. The resources, the readings and resources, all the readings, all of the mini lectures are in that spot. We have our learning activities for the week, our reading quizzes, and the team project. So questions that often happen about the team project, how that works, is you all are going to propose questions. So if we open up the acknowledgement and commitment. So this is basically, you're just acknowledging that the team project exists and you understand it and you're committing to, or you're opting in or opting out. So this is where you do that. And then within that, you'll answer questions about the team project that shows me that you've actually read about it. And then you also propose a team project idea. You will go to, just kind of show you the back end of this. Yeah, you can't see the answers. So here's an opt-in, opt-out question. And then at the very bottom, I ask you for your proposal ideas. And so you submit them both here. And I give you a link to a Google Sheet that you go in and put your questions. So it looks like Madison has already put in her 3, or the 3 things that she's interested in. So what I will do is I will take this sheet once it's filled out, and I will find the most common interests and make groups off of that. And then I will create groups in Canvas, and then I will open the groups up for you all to sign up for what you want, or the project that you want to work on. So the topic. So it's self-selection by topic. Right. Any other questions? Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for coming. As a reminder, you can always get me on Canvas email. I try to respond within 24 hours. On Friday, I'm traveling, and so I might have more delay in my responses, but I will get to you as quick as I can and do all that I can to help you. So thanks so much for coming today. I'm super excited to see you all in the course.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You're welcome. Have a nice day. Bye.